So far, we've talked about the suffering caused by human choice, wars, hatred, injustice, but now we must face something even more unsettling, suffering that has no one to blame. A baby born with a terminal illness, a family torn apart by an earthquake, a peaceful person diagnosed with cancer. These are not choices. These are the silent storms of life that come uninvited and strike without reason. How do we explain that if God exists? This kind of suffering is often the hardest to accept. It's one thing to suffer because of someone's mistake or even your own. But when pain arrives without cause, it can feel like betrayal, a cruel twist of fate. People say, "Where was God?" But maybe the better question is, what do we mean when we ask that? Do we expect God to stop every natural event, rearrange nature to spare each individual from pain? If so, we are not asking for a world with God. We're asking for a world without nature, without cause and effect, without any law or logic. Think about it: for rain to fall, sometimes floods must happen. For tectonic plates to create fertile mountains, sometimes earthquakes are the cost. For ecosystems to thrive, sometimes predators must hunt. This is the world we live in, a world of balance, of physics, of biology. Not every wave in the ocean is meant to harm. But when you're caught in it, it feels personal. Maybe it's not. But that doesn't mean God is indifferent. In fact, it's in this space, where nature and pain collide, that the idea of divine companionship becomes more powerful than divine control. Maybe God doesn't always intervene to stop the storm, but he sits with us inside it. Maybe the miracle is not the absence of pain, but the presence of peace in the middle of it, a whisper in the darkness that says, "You are not alone." Some traditions see suffering not as meaningless, but as mystery, a puzzle not fully revealed in this lifetime. Hinduism and Buddhism talk about karma, not as punishment, but as the ripple of cause and effect across lifetimes. Christianity speaks of redemptive suffering, that even pain can be used to bring about something good. In Islam, suffering is often a test, one that deepens faith and reminds us of our dependence on the Creator. These aren't just religious escape routes. They're ways humanity has tried to give voice to the silence of pain. Science explains how suffering happens. Religion and philosophy ask why. Maybe suffering reminds us that we are not gods, that we are fragile, mortal, dependent, and in that weakness, perhaps we begin to discover compassion, unity, and love. Think of how people come together after a tragedy, strangers helping strangers. Pain has a strange way of cracking open our hardened hearts. Could that be part of its hidden purpose? Yet we must also say this clearly: not all suffering is meant to teach a lesson. Not every tragedy has a neat moral, and we should never tell someone in pain that it's all for a reason. Sometimes suffering is simply a wound, a scar that reminds us that we live in an unfinished world, a world still waiting for healing. And maybe God's role is not just to explain suffering, but to redeem it, to bring meaning from chaos, healing from brokenness, light from even the deepest night.